a pie. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, oh, I can't.
I don't know about you, but I just want to sit there and let that set in. Good evening, and I just want to say thank you to Reverend Braxton, First Lady Sheila, and to all of you in New Beginnings who are behind the vision to support talent, who are behind the vision to say we can't sit by and watch potential go unrealized. I want to say thank you to all of you investors who could have been somewhere else tonight, maybe even watching Notre Dame lose. I'm sorry, Pastor. But I want to say thank you because you chose to be here. I want to say thank you to the young adult ensemble. Your voices, your commitment, and your talent shall not go unrewarded. Thank you to Zhane. You can sing for me anytime. Anytime. And to the young people who have been serving us tonight, we should give them a hand. Yes, we should give them a standing ovation as well. Wherever you are, we want to thank you for your service. Watching this tonight, there's no doubt in my mind that we are making wise investments tonight. And I also want to offer my congratulations to Dr. Cornell and to Norm Malang and his family, and Judy and Mark, and their lives represent and I think epitomize the words in a song by the Consolers. And I know for some of you might recognize that, and some of you that's too long ago for you. But the Consolers, who said, "May the works I've done speak for me." And as I sat there listening to the speakers talk, and I was reminded that sometimes God keeps repeating things to us because he wants us to learn them. And so as I thought about the words that I had written, that not possible that anybody who has spoken before me tonight could have seen what was on this paper. When it started to rise up, I'm saying to you as investors, God wants to tell you something. May the works you've done speak for you. When you're buried, resting in your grave, and there's nothing more to be said, may the works you've done speak for you. May the life you live speak for you. When you're resting in your grave, and there's nothing more to be said, may the life you've lived speak for you. Now, if some of you may be a bit too young to understand that work emphasis coming from the Consolers, maybe you understand it coming from the Isley brothers. When they said, "We got work to do. We are out here taking care of business because we've got work to do." And so I mention these two songs because they remind me that we need to be about the work of the village. And when I say village, I'm referring to that old African proverb that says that it takes a village to produce what you see in this room. It takes a village to produce the twins that we just heard from. It takes a village to have Zhane singing the way she's singing. It takes a village to raise our children. And now some of you may be asking yourself, what is the work of this village? Or you may even be saying to yourself, well, that doesn't apply to me because I don't live in a village. And if you're in either one of those places, bear with me for about 15 minutes because I know we said 9 and I know I have to get the pastor back on time. It's gonna be a hard job, but I'm working on it. So for the next few minutes, I want to talk to you about we got work to do. And see, the work of the village is the same work that Jesus was talking about when he said to his parents, didn't you know that I must be about my Father's business? Didn't you know that I had a calling, and that that calling involved me engaging in the life of others? The work of the village is to make sure that every one of our children have the best opportunity to succeed in this life, and to position them to carry forward the work of building a stronger next generation. This must be our work for every child, regardless of who gave birth to them. Some of you may have heard me speak in the past about the Maasai tribe of Africa. And you see, the Maasai has so incorporated the work of the village into their daily lives that they even find it embedded in their greetings. The Maasai greet each other daily with a question. And it doesn't matter whether you have children, will have children, or never think about having children. They greet them the same, Kasarian Injera. And Kasarian Injera asks a question, how are the children? And the expectation is that every member of the village would be so ingrained in the work of the village that the response would be Sapati Injera. And Sapati Injera is a declaration that says all the children are well. Because the Maasai have come to understand something, that the most encompassing and the most important work of the village is to make sure that every child is safe, to make sure that every child is fully supported, to make sure that every child is exceptionally educated, and to make sure that every child is prepared to be the best possible citizen that they can be. They understand that the best way to safeguard our future is by fully leveraging our investments in our children today. And as a nation, these here, United States of America, we stand at a place in our history where we must reaffirm for ourselves and for our children that the foundational principle of this nation still applies to all of our children and not just some of them. You see, in 1776, those who established the United States of America on land that was already inhabited by Native Americans, some of y'all gonna get that later, declared in their founding document, the Declaration of Independence, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But as I stand here before you tonight, I have to ask, is that declaration still covering all of our children? Are we as a nation still committed to making sure that all of our young people indeed are capable and ready to learn? Are we still committed as a nation to ensuring that all of our young people are able to continue to develop and have access to the tools and resources that they need to prepare themselves for their future roles in service and leadership? Or has this now just become a dream that is set aside for the few who have the connections and the resources to make it work for them? Are we still committed? At Casey Family Programs, we have built our efforts around something we call building communities of hope. And building communities of hope means that we're building communities where children are safe and where they have the support that they need from the adults, all of the adults in their lives, so that they can grow up healthy and that they can succeed. The community of hope is a community where the families can find the resources and opportunities they need to build a better future for their children and for themselves. The communities of hope are communities where all of the institutions, be they public, be they private, be they faith-based, be they civic, all of the institutions agree that they are coming together to work in a common purpose with a shared responsibility to improve the life outcomes and opportunities for success of our children. I was moved by hearing the history of Brother Norm, because in certain sections of our community, we need to know that law enforcement is a part of the village. Because it matters if you're in the village or if you watch in the village. We might all agree that the ultimate responsibility for children lies with the child's parents, but it is the role and responsibility of the entire community, the village, that surrounds that family, to make sure that our children develop to be the highest quality citizens. It is not the role of the village to look at the children not being quality citizens and say that they will never be. It's the role of the village to intervene and ensure that they will be. It is in our best interest to do so. Because whether we like it or not, in generations to come, we won't be here. You won't be able to call on Dr. Bell to come and give a speech. You're going to have to call on some of our citizens. It is our obligation to make sure that they get on that path. And what will get them on that path? Education. You see, education, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Anybody you go to will tell you that education is universally regarded as the surest and most reliable way to improve your life outcomes and circumstances. Education, especially in education beyond high school, opens more doors. And it is a well-known fact that the level of education that you receive determines, in most instances, now there are those exceptions. You know, we hear the touting of the billionaires who dropped out of school. But that's not the route that our kids from our village are likely to take. So we need to make sure that they're educated, because even the Bureau of Labor Statistics knows that for those who are 25 years or older who just have a high school diploma, their unemployment rate is about 6.5%. But if you take it a step further and you get a college degree, immediately that cuts your potential for unemployment down to 3.2%. We already know that if you get a college degree, on average, you're going to earn about $17,700 more per year than your colleague who only has a high school diploma. We already know that if you get a bachelor's degree, you will make an average of $1 million more in your lifetime of earning than someone who only has a high school diploma. The Census Bureau says that if you get a high school degree, your median salary is going to be about $32,500. So over your lifetime, you'll make $1.3 million. But if you just get an associate's, that takes you up to $42,000 and a lifetime earning of about $1.5 million. If you get a bachelor's, that takes you up to about $55,700 median, which means you could be above that. Lifetime earning about $2.3 million. If you get a master's degree, takes you up to a median of about $63,000. Lifetime earning $2.7 million. And if you keep pushing to get a PhD, median $100,000 a year. Lifetime earning over $3.2 million. Potential. But I heard someone say that potential is universal, but opportunity is not. Not everybody who has potential will get the opportunity to express that potential to the fullest unless we in the village are willing to do something. When I heard Dr. Cornell start saying Langston Hughes, and she said, what happens to a dream deferred? Well, I asked the question, what happens to the dreamers who do not have access to the opportunity to make their dreams a reality? I believe the greatest challenge facing America today is a lack of hope in our villages across this country. Too many of our children and their families have been cut off from the opportunities and access, and they've lost hope. They no longer believe that there is any reason to expect anything different at any point in their future other than what they see today. They are limited by what they can see. And the conditions in the villages are causing them to both give up hope and to give up trying. And this sense of hopelessness, we can see it every day across this country. On average, every 24 hours in America, in villages across this country, we have young people who we want them to go to college. But the reality of what they see every day is telling them that's not for you. In villages across this country, on average, every 24 hours, approximately 2,000 children are confirmed as victims of child abuse and neglect. On average, every 24 hours. Approximately 700 children are removed from their families and placed in foster care. About 4 children die from child abuse and neglect, most of them before they reach their 5th birthday, in villages across this nation. On average, every 24 hours, more than 7 million children wake up in homes where their families are trying to survive off of $8 per person per day. Let me say that again. There are 7 million children in America for whom this dream we're talking about seems to be unreachable and unattainable because they're waking up in a home where their families are trying to survive off of $8 per person per day. Let me break that down for you. A family of 4 living off of $8 a day per person means that their annual income is approximately $11,680. Family of 4. If you are like I used to be, I'm repenting, Pastor. If you're like I used to be, and you drink 2 cups of Starbucks coffee a day, you are spending almost $3,000 a year on coffee, which equates to about 25%, 1/4 of the annual household income of that family of 4 that I just talked about. That's the reality in villages across this nation. But I didn't just come here to depress you. I came here to tell you that you can do something about that. I came here to say that we can change this. That this is not the reality of every child in America. And it doesn't have to be the reality of the kids in these villages that we're talking about. We know which streets and which blocks in each city have the most children who are in need. Unless we begin to think, yeah, but this is the Puget Sound region, Dr. Bell. We're pretty good out here. We give, we support. Well, let me help you understand something. Puget Sound. The same thing that is happening in zip codes across this country is happening in zip codes right here. You can look at 6 zip codes right around this church. And it is not equal for everybody, even when the zip code statistics suggest that you're prosperous. 6 zip codes right around this church: 98031, 98032, 98055, 98056, 98058, 98059. Statistics say that the percentage of residents in those zip codes, 25 years and older, who have a high school degree or better, ranges from 83% to 93%. Sounds good. Statistics say that the median household income in those zip codes ranges from $49,700 in 98032 to $87,581 in 98059. But when I looked beyond the surface, what I saw was that in 98059, with a median income of $87,000 per household, 22% of the households with children in that zip code are living off of less than $35,000 a year. Ask them how they're going to pay for college. Ask them how they're going to be at home to help prepare their kids to get to college in the village. And I almost cried when I looked at 98032, neighboring zip code. 98032. Median annual income, $49,736. 40.6% of the households with children living in that zip code are living off of less than $35,000 a year. And a full 10% of the households with children in 98032 are living off of less than $10,000 a year. We need to change what's going on in the village. We need to understand that it is not an equal opportunity for everybody. We live in a nation that has lofty principles and ideals, but those ideals don't get down to the people who you can't see. That's right. And we need to step beyond the surface and look underneath the bushes, because there's somebody in the village who's saying, come, help me. Pass me not, O gentle Savior. Hear my humble cry, whilst thou art calling on others. Do not pass me by. We, the able-bodied in the village, it's time for us to bring our voices together. We can help rewrite the story. We can stand together, and collectively we can try to support those who need to be supported, but we can raise our voices to those who are in a position to make a difference and change the construct, change the laws that have created the disparity. In 1970, you could work 755 hours a year on a minimum wage job, which equates to about 14 hours a week, and you could pay to go to a public university. In 2010, you would have to have worked 1,823 hours a year on a minimum wage job, about 35 hours a week to pay for college. Which means that this notion that we used to work our way through college has become a fallacy. Because if you have to work 35 hours a week to pay for college, when are you going to study? When are you going to be able to apply yourself? This is the reality of many of our children in America. This is the reality for too many of our children in our village. This is the reality in a nation that laid as its foundation that it would create a more perfect union, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, and to promote the general welfare of all our people in our communities. This principle is not the reality of too many of our kids in our village. And I just wanted to remind you, members of our village, there's an old song, once to every man and nation. And as I interpret the lyrics, they say, once to every man and once to every nation, there comes the moment to decide. As you are wrestling with the conflict between truth and falsehood and the good and versus the evil side, you must stand for some great cause and you must face some great decision, but you cannot remain neutral. That moment for us to decide as a people, that moment for us to decide as a village, that moment for us to decide as a nation is now. How are we going to invest in the hope of our tomorrows? We must be willing to give all of those who will follow us a reason to hope. We must be able to give them the hope and the victory that can only come when we embrace them as members of the village. And we must say to our young people that what we give you as a member of the village is not just for you. I think Al Green got it when he said, if I gave you my love, I'll tell you what I'd do. I expect a whole lot of love out of you. And so if we're giving you our love, young people, then we expect you to love yourself. We expect you to love your neighbor. We expect you to love your parents. We expect you to love the service that is required of you. Because we got work to do. We out here taking care of business because we got work to do. Because one day we will stand before the throne. And we may hear well done if our works are speaking for us. But we might not hear well done. But this I know, by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have love, and if you share that love one towards another. We got work to do in the village. God bless you and thank you.
Let the church say amen.